I'm gonna do another video. I do believe I did one of these sheep a couple of months ago, and it's to talk about the body's health and waves, sound waves, to say the least. But the body is bioenergetic. I'm gonna put it in the lightest terms of what I've picked up. I'm not highly intelligent in it, but there's apps out there like the help sleep for white noise. And then there's an app like Atmosphere. Matter of fact, Atmosphere has a few apps. And they have specific tones like 1.5 hertz. And this is not technical at all. It's for deep sleep. But even 1.8 hertz is actually completely opposite, or not even opposite, it's for something else for like deep depression. And then there's like 8.0 hertz. That does bodily health, the universal health wave. And that's not 100% right and technical, but almost to the point. If you download the app Atmosphere, there's a couple of them. You'll be able to see what I'm saying, and it'll tell you what is what, which is which. Waves do what, like the universal healing wave. Well, the universal healing wave is for body general. It induces, if you hear it and listen to it long enough and the body starts regulating with it, it's the same regulation the body does anyhow to heal the internal sicknesses, no matter what it is. And I do believe it also influences mental health, but all of it's going to influence mental health to certain points, but which is which, does it heal mental health situations? I'm not sure, but it wouldn't matter. We're going to get to health situations. And those health situations are those waves reversed, per se, or the right correct wave does the opposite. Instead of getting healthy, you get sick. It being bioenergetically fed into you somehow like a deep brain stimulator. And I've said this and I've talked in other videos, think about of good and bad. But this is just an example of when I came around and I was like, health. You know what? In a sense, it makes sense with this too. It has a universal health wave, it has depression. If you flipped all of these backwards, just the opposite of the good to the bad, you could do a lot of damage. Well, that's what's happened to me. An illegal implant, not on paperwork, while they're enforcing it, while I'm going mental, I went blind, literally like mentally blind. ID, intellectually disabled. And they're taking advantage of that communally, grouply, gang stalking, and everything else, trying to enforce they have a right to do it. I don't have any witnesses, and I have difficulties of getting friends. I have difficulties, period, money and financial, everything else, because I've been knocked the frick down. A science project now here off of Walnut Street and Gift Street, Columbus, Ohio. But these guys playing snobby, higher intelligence. You don't come around me. I'm more better than you. Higher class. I'm capacitated and you're not. And basically, you're stealing my capacity. You're stealing my characteristics, my health, and my traits, which is possible. I mean, standing next to somebody that's healthy and trying to make yourself feel healthy probably kind of would work. I don't know the technical terms right now, but just acquiring or standing there attaching and feeling good off of their vibes when they don't want you around them, period. Or they don't want to heal you. They don't like you. They don't care. And some of them hate. So now if you take that and you take bad vibes and you hate against someone, you can cause somebody to be sick. It also proves like emotional assault and distress and shit like that. For me, it makes it more convincing that it can actually cause serious harm and quickly, besides even just utilizing poison. But that would be an additive, like an excessive tooling to help complete the situation. But we'll get into me talking about it specific and more technical later on. Not in this video, but when I get it more technical, of the ability to interact with somebody else. And if you stand around somebody else intentionally just to be in a different class, to feel better, to acquire or have their social group identity, and misutilizing it where you don't understand it, yeah, it's wrong, because you're standing incorrect, mentally incapacitated, trying to capacitate yourself with something that you don't understand. And that might not be so wrong, but something that is basically stolen. It's like a patented ideal. You watching somebody do something like take a test, or that's a bad, lame excuse. It's not proper, and that shows my intelligent level too. And they like ridiculing that. You're not of our class, you don't deserve this. So hey, I have to accept this shit. Freedom's not free, and that's true, but accept all of it, except for the interstate stalking and them intentionally, no matter where I go, trying to make me feel sick, make me feel ill. Now, there's been situations, there's people that stepped and intervened and helped out, or tried some recovery techniques and just basically reverse their effects. So there is an ability to have intervention and at least stop the situation, if not completely, utterly reverse what they have done. So if that's the case, what they have done is assaulted psychologically, emotionally, and whatever other situation can come up, but basically interfering with life, period, as an assault. With intent, because you're following their interstate stalking. It wasn't an accident, it wasn't a mishap of, hey, I don't like people like you, and we ran across each other in public while we was at the store, so I stood my grounds for what kind of peoples we are, as I was challenging you and affected you. No, this is we've stalked and followed you. But wanted to get into it. Just Atmosphere app and the waves off of that, and make an understanding out of it. That's how I become sick myself. And just even within the last 40 minutes, there's a situation where there's a store mishap. And I talked about that in what was it, about 3 days ago. More than likely also an off-duty police officer. Could you imagine having somebody that has the rights to a just community, scientific, social matter, having hatred, intentionally hating on you? Hey, I got the power, so this is what I've done. And then when you fought back, it was being discovered, they sabotaged you, you started getting cranky, so you did something wrong, you punch a hole in a wall, you did something wrong in public or whatever it be. You got out of hand, yes, disorderly, out of frustration and anger, and blew up. It was wrong. But now they got something to hold over top of your head. And now it alterates your ability to say, I ain't done anything wrong, and they're doing this wrongfully without a reason. Now they got a reason for life. Scolding, scorning, and doing whatever, regulating you. That's why you don't get out of hand, but hey, you go tell that to the many handfuls of people that have already. It's already too late. See what they say. But, yeah, sabotaged anyhow. So police, I don't have any good whatsoever here in Columbus, Ohio. And some of that shit, like I said, there's good cops and there's bad cops. And some of the good cop situations have happened. I've seen good cops push bad cops back, or put them in place, or not allow things to take action. Not often, though. But here in Columbus, Ohio, I'm not sure what the fuck it is. Even in Colorado Springs, they alterated, and hell, out there, they had to have hated my guts for a certain amount of things that happened out there. I'm not going to say I'm a big-time criminal, but I stole candy bars and food off the shelf because I was homeless. And now I'm sorry for that. I quit 15 years ago for the most part of any shoplifting. I don't want to make myself being a really bad guy, and like I'm still doing it occasionally. I think in the last 15 years I've only shoplifted maybe 6 times. That's a lot. To me, since I've done it so much, and that is normal in most of the areas that I'm around, and even if not, it follows me as being a norm. While these cops control society, they pit up the same thing as the other interstate stalkers and all the other stalkers and people applying and profiling me. They also add in the additional assistant help from the community, other people that are involved with crimes, and hey, go commit a crime around him so I can exploit his shit. But what's happening here is an individual in that store, one, the capacity hasn't left the damn mind. It's almost like it's locked in. It's hard to understand. I know people's like, that's fucked up. That is outright not even like in a good way for yourself. You're mentally retarded and need to go get help. And I already did. There is a problem, and these guys know the problem. Even if say it's a rare disability, or not even rare, something's going wrong. I have physical health and my mind's not working, and somebody intentionally profiled how bad that is to intentionally inflict a situation for themselves to make it look like in a certain way that it isn't correct, and then basically expose, ostracize it in public, and take advantage of my unhealthiness is basically what's happened. But then on top, hey, I just keep thinking about it, and I won't stop until this completes its course and I figure out everything about it and figure out the differences of what's what and all the rest. But am I violating somebody else? I'm sitting in my own house with nobody else here, being electrified for what? Somebody, and on top I'll be asleep. And like some reference, like hypnotic suggestions or not, or somebody trying to reference it. Let's see if we can't set the device off like they already know this device. Or set, even if you don't have the device, let's see if we can't set his mind and body off. That sickness, rather than adding positiveness, they're taking and adding negative or unhealthy causes, trying to create a stroke, aneurysm, respiratory problems, grumpiness when you wake up, and when you wake up grumpy, it looks like you're psychotic, right? Especially when you start adding up if somebody's trying to play that guy's psychotic and doing everything under the sun so you can't rehabilitate yourself or make yourself look good or feel good. But utilizing them to feel good, like a buddy system, sister, or community person sitting there, it's understood that misuse, wrongful thoughts, challengement, and utilizing it beneficially for myself, even though I'm not a part of that social class, or have the ability, or that person adapted to that person, to try to analyze that person, like walk home and be like, wow, that person had a lot of money. I'm just going to start utilizing the feelings that I had around them to see if I can't basically identity theft their personality traits and characteristics and use them for myself. And who would be able to tell that? A psychiatrist would. That's where you get the personality disorders that have just that disorder. And I have antisocial personality disorder, supposedly. But I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to deny that there's not a problem. If that's the case, I wouldn't have said anything that I did prior in this video. That there is a problem, and some of it's caused by physical health, for sure. Some of it's sabotage and set up. And then if it's created like PTSD, I'm not going to say it's not my fault, but I'd be damned if I'm going to put up with somebody making me sicker. I'd be damned if you're going to accuse me of doing wrong. I'd be damned if you're going to make it out that I'm not allowed around you when you showed up intentionally. You showed up intentionally basically stalking and following me to create the situation. I'd be no different than taking advantage of a person in their sleep. Either hypnotically or whatever idealistic kind of trying to make an attachment. Creating either hate, negative, even positive, but for the understandable part, anything negative, and causing that person to be disrupted. Even a recollection of fear later on starts turning into it dressing, could turn into PTSD, who knows? It turns into it still harms that person. You are harming me more than I harmed you. You have groups of people, friends, yes, all the good stuff. That's the reason why I'm not allowed around you, supposedly, even though you showed up to the store that I'm at the pharmacy that I'm at, sitting down where I'm sitting down to make a situation. Now, I don't want to go too far with it and see me step out of place. I want it to be perfectly right and safe and reasonably explained and proper. Even if I'm in the wrong, I'll take my wrongs and I'll make sure I make them right. But at the same time, this is done. Them insinuating something like higher intelligence, where there's two gay teenagers or not. They had raped me back in 2009, and they keep rumorizing that situation. Something else that also happened with that is I remember being around. It was with a great uncle a few houses down from this one. And I was intoxicated that night, and they just took advantage. You want to act like some Godfather king and disrespect people? You're not even allowed to drink. You mess with people. You cause havoc. I was scolded and scorned a little bit more overly than should be because they didn't even fucking know me really. A few acquaintance meetings as I'm talking to my great uncle Jerry, and these son of a bitches are in here, and they said something, and I recollect it to this day, and it's been over, 10, 11 years ago? An instructor taught us all of this, and they insinuated some things that happened back in CJC, Colorado Springs Justice Center. And with that being said, whoever knows that means an internal police, systematical workers, like I've been saying, have exposed my internal workings in public. That's how severe this shit is. And I have other stories directly, I know positively bad things like that have happened. So if I'm asked, it's not just like I think so, I'm positively know so. But this situation, man, they did a real good job. Like, they sold my whole life to these other two teenagers. Later on, they raped me while I'm drunk at a young age, and then take advantage of it in the community that, he's a grown man that got taken on by some teenagers that was also given the willpower, the strength, and whatnot by the attackers, the instructors that they said they had. And I was just blowing it off. I was still incapacitated because I had so many life problems. But little innuendos and little situations that now make me recollect because it connects directly with Colorado Springs. I know what they was saying and the information that they was utilizing and who taught what or who tried to utilize a mental health directive with me or a mental health situation of rehabilitation, stabilization, or intake-outtake of like jailhouse situation, utilizing that type of situation. I remember that day. I signed 3 pieces of paper, and they put these papers up. And when I signed one, it accidentally signed 2 pieces of paper. And they snatched the papers up, the lady did. I won't say too much to snatch, and she said, "Thank you." "Oh, don't worry about it." It was just a trick, but at the same time, kind of cool trick. They're just normal forms, just saying, you waive your HIPAA rights or whatever, or some dumb shit like that. The normal forms that you'd fill out at a medical office. Apparently, they wasn't. And with that trick, somebody else standing around the corner, there is a male figure there also. Standing around the corner, I could feel the vibes, hear the voice, the innuendos from him. And they like doing that, insinuating shit. "You're nuts," or "We're going to do this in the future," or "Watch me fuck you up in the future because of this," or whatever it be. Sometimes it's nice, but most of the time it's not quite right. A triggering effect of fright, scariness, or just outright being taken on, challenged personally, privacy, and all the rest. But anyhow, later on, that was what happened. That CJC situation happened between 2004 and 2007. Now, I can narrow that down to the end of 2004 and the spring of 2007. I can probably get it more narrowed later, but anyways, so now those are the people that were working to go back for myself, because nobody's going to start this investigation for me to go back myself and find those people if they even work there. More outsiders all of a sudden show up one day, ain't there the next. Strange systematical working. Anyhow, These damn two gay teenage ass motherfuckers taking me on, and they ran me into the ground. Not only them, they've seen me at the store. They have their sister working up at the store, I do believe. That's an RN, and that's all she could talk about: becoming a nurse or a pharmacist, anything whatsoever that could, make a good job for at least a while. And was studying to be RN or a nurse or what do you call it, as prescription. I'm almost sure that it's their sister. There's been some wacky shit, and that's why this undercover cop or this off-duty cop sitting there. And they've played me out city. So I've been systematically attacked by something somebody doesn't understand. A group associated situation on the side with cops involved, even undercover, community, non-active duty, associated community interaction, friendships, creating havoc and problems. Right here in Columbus, Ohio. That being said, I'm just going to stop this video. I started rambling out too much, but you see where the sickness and being made sick comes from? Enough evidence built that there's a probability of they're doing wrong rather than good? Do they have a right to socially represent civil suits and all the rest of the shit? And because I am mentally incapacitated, yes, I don't understand things, being wiped out from memory, being completely made sick to the point I'm losing my ability to understand things. And with that means we can now take power and control of you. And like the instructor type of situation, which would be Ella Purdue, Carl Newman. They're the only two people around that's been out of state with me, and I didn't realize it. I identified, it's like identifying your fucking attacker 2 goddamn years too late. But now, it ain't even 2 years. She's been around since 2009. Take that back, since 2008. So she's been here almost 12 years as a renter next door neighbor. If she's having it so difficult with me on top because there's complaints like that, why the hell don't you just move off? Find you a community that you like anyways, because this was a sucker-ass community. It's shit like that. People that didn't like, not creating a situation. That's like the interstate stalkers going to another state and be like, I don't like you, take off. Or being here in Columbus. We don't like you, take off. I take off. They show up elsewhere. We don't like you, take off. Well, shit, where am I supposed to take off to get the fuck away from you? But it makes sense. Hey, probate, systematical, and do they have paperwork for it? How much is another person allowed to take advantage? How much legal intervention are they allowed to take of another person where everybody else is saying, hey, things to mental ill and people who are incapacitated or not literate, not intelligent, and maybe even intellectually disabled wouldn't understand how a full system works correctly. They rely on the system to protect them rather than them protecting themselves. And with that being said, they don't understand how the system works where people, normal people, individual, anybody and everybody type of situation may have a legal right to you in certain ways. Even though the ones that do it are usually more professional, loophole, understanding the system, and attackful with it per se. And that's what's been explained by a psychiatrist like here at Twin Valley Mental Health. These guys are overly, excessively learning shit and attacking you with it. How much disheartening from a female utilizing, I honor your brother. I honor our crew and our group, and we're to force into your face, you're a retard, and we want you to watch us have a life when you don't have one at all. Literally. It's no different than being locked in a cage inhumanely and watching everybody else be free with daily activities, life activities, socialism, and everything that comes with it. Sex life, socialism, daily, even doing fucking chores would be something of enjoyment in the sense of what I'm talking. It wouldn't be a punishment or something that shouldn't be done, not to put it that way, because it can be analyzed of what I'm saying harshly by those who have a psychological degree. But that's what's happened to me. They have socially held me captive to the point I ain't had a social life, and ruined my life, and ruined me incapacitating What I'm supposed to capacitate, no different than them saying I'm interfering with them. They interfered with me to the point it caused a problem. Yes. Utilizing me as the example, one, as an example, scientific example, I'm just a test research project. So since I'm affected now, I'm affected. I don't get any compensation. I don't get any rehabilitation. And now definitely can't be around the group that just learned that it's no good to be around a person that, what they've already caused, because it can cause this interaction. It can cause you to be sick and cause you to lose your mind. So I'm being pushed back twice type of situation. Somebody's working a lot of mental health, and I'm willing to work with it, capacitate my shit, because no matter what, I'm going to outright prove there is an attacker. I'm going to outright prove I've been also attacked, and Ella Purdue has X mental health, is what she said to me. And I believe it because I've watched some of her tactics. I also believe she has detective, undercover police work abilities. But if not, like an assistant to the police or to an investigator, but illegally, corruptly. Who says she's ever... I can't log what they're doing correctly and what's correct or not by the system, because I don't know. I'd have to get a lawyer and a professional myself to understand the situation, and a person to live here with me to get a gist of the ideal of what they're doing. Is that correct or incorrect? Day to day, actually living here day to day, at least for a couple of months, whatever. That's if they don't try to hide themselves, and that's another dilemma, like gaslighting and everything else. Hide themselves. They'll hide themselves until the witness leaves, and then start all their shit again. It's the recovery time that needs to be put back. But the feeling of being completely fucked over while somebody else has a life, and now is shitting it in your face, and then utilizing you as a hatred, like a hate crime. They hate you so much that they've ostracized it amongst their group. You may be a full-blown target of that group, or an example every day that they look up. Look at what we've done to this person. It's our pride and enjoyment type of situation. Even if it isn't that, it doesn't matter. Ooh, we're trying to get society straight and you're infecting it. I can't be infecting it when you're the one showing up when you supposedly don't like me in the first place, trying to act like you're dealing with something, and later on I get sick just out of nothing, or I start getting fucked with. Excuse the lingo. I start getting stalked, harassed more and more frequently all of a sudden. Another struggle again. Ins and outs. Oops, 3 weeks of rest, 3 weeks of terrorization. Want to play that game again? Let's do that. Like sleep deprivation, but still. Pushing weight in the community as a targeted individual. Pushing it onto my shoulders, and what you gonna do about it? And having the heightened sense of security that these guys work for law enforcement, so they got plenty of power and room to do it. It's nuts. I'm going to do a whole video on that. Clip this and do a video on the power of that. And I've already done videos like that. I just repeat myself. But day to day, I like doing these little journals to keep up, and little entries. So if anybody does watch, you can not just only keep track of me, not my whole point, but maybe learn something from my ramblings. Anyways, I'm going to end this video January 20th, 21st, 2020. 6:56 p.m., Walnut Street, Gift Street. A lot of electronic interference still going on around the house. And me being threatened about power again. Still, power, power, power. This is the power we possess. Electronic jammers. And we're not talking just cell phones. We're talking all electronics. Heaters, furnaces, refrigerators, everything under the sun. The power to alterate databases, hacking, everything under the sun. You wanted to make yourself out as being this man and the abilities of that. I had a little ability in the past of a certain amount of stuff, and yes, I overly did it a little bit. Until I became hurt, and underneath that hurt, you didn't help me out by being hurt. You did nothing but ostracize and use my pain, use the injury against me for your own benefit. And that is try to challenge me to something, and then I step out of place and be like, I bet I can hack NORAD or something stupid as such as that. And they're down into hacking because these other two fags also talked about the same thing. Jumula, Mambo, advertisement. This is what we was supporting. And this is also a New York City associated situation of, you know, the things that happened in New York, we could have been better off, and you, because of you, there ain't nothing. They're utilizing me for life. Well, now they're utilizing me for the discrimination. I don't give a fuck. I control you either way. You're supposed to make me feel good when I make you feel good. What, by offering me up gifts, offering me life without, basically, you're giving me a choice, but it's the only choice that I have. It's not an independent choice. It's your choice of what choices I make. It's not going to work that way. All the victimization, you know you're in the wrong now. It sucks to push it back that far without taking consideration, but I'm taking full-blown consideration that you targeted me. And they know who they are if they watch this. And that these people targeted me by coming up to that pharmacy at 150 West Sycamore Kroger's, sitting there doing the things that they're doing. And next I'm starting to get attacked, targeted, possibly threatened, if not ill will towards myself. And the device itself interacting out like electrically shocking me for no reason. Up, you're thinking of me. Up, I'm going over top of what's going on. I'm trying to reprocess the situation of exactly what they said, movements, anything I can get a clue and a sign. That's how I know they're off-duty, more than likely police officers, because I've seen other off-duty police officers utilize the same hand signs, gestures, and postures. Anyways, with that being said, just trying to analyze that, and then in the head it triggering for some reason. Is it a neuropathic situation that's being receptivated by a deep brain stimulator and kicking on? We'll never know, or I won't ever know, until they expose what device was inside me, what they have implanted, which is chaotic schizo. You think you've been implanted, it'd be found out. The doctors would tell you. All these people, blah, blah. Bullshit. Not when they're telling the fucking radiologist to alterate the machines to omit the device. And why would they do that? And it'd have to be legal so you can fight that back. Really? I walked into the FBI. I've been all over. And there's quite a few. I could probably, with money, a lawyer, yes, fight it back. So I'm fucked without that money or that lawyer helping me fight back while I'm being damaged. But at the same time, can it be found out? Apparently not. It's being covered up. It's at least being covered up. It's no different than you can't find a warrant on yourself while you're under investigation. If there's no warrant and you're being investigated, you're not going to know that there's an investigation. They're not going to tell you you're under investigation and be able to flee the crime. The same type of ideal tactic here. They're not telling, or they're covering themselves up pretty damn good, utilizing the guise of that. But they're not going to tell you how to get out of it. They're not going to tell you how to flee. Especially if they have enough power and strength to cover it up. They're not going to tell you how to uncover it or how to discover it real easily. And how to work the situation. So I'm stuck with it. I'm going to go ahead and end this video and start another one. And I'm going to post that one heads up. Exactly what I said in this video in the end here. As a whole new video. To make understandings without any type of scrutiny. How that works and being ridiculed and scorned and scolded on by myself. From other people of, nagging. That's mentally unstable. Well, let's go ahead and get this to works. It may be unstable, but that's what I want to pursue because I'm damn sure of it. I mean, I don't have just think, hey, out of the blue somewhere they kidnapped me and I got knocked out. In a sense, it's that story. I blacked out, drunk, ended up in the ER and wrongfully operated on them. Oops, some nut-ass doctor, just like no different than... not trying to abuse it, but over here, right 3 blocks away, national news, doctor was poisoning patients to death. Killing them. 13 cases of it. Hey, are you telling me there wasn't some fucking whack job that had done something wrong to me while I was intoxicated and said, hey, this would be fun to do? Or targeted, like I said, it wouldn't matter because it wouldn't make sense just whack job, because how would he know where you're at and control it, and it'd be trackable that way in a sense. He wouldn't have enough power himself to cover it up. The people who are targeting would. So, a mass amount of shit. Oh, it's all because you're incapable of society. Yeah? After being attacked, assaulted, and everything else, I'm incapable because of the influences and the attacks and injuries from somebody else. Being literally physically jumped, gangsterly jumped, grouply jumped, and all evidential. And should be evidential. That's another thing. Somebody trying to remove that evidence. It doesn't apply. That's ancient. It never applied anyhow. You never had paperwork for it. Haha, bitch. That's because that's the way we set it up. It happened to you. We didn't do the proper paperwork as law enforcement. So you don't get any representation victimization for it. And then when you go to talk about it, the only thing you do is have your own words and the characteristics of the crime without having the weight of the right paperwork behind it. I'm done. I'm going to go ahead and end this video, and I'm uploading this. Peace. Targetofunlawfulacts.com